Hey, car builders. So I wanted to do a video on something that can actually help somebody. And there were a couple of people I follow on YouTube that were running into the same issues that I ran into when I took apart my uh, dash and got underneath there and took all the harnesses out and all the heat vents and the heating uh, blower, and I took everything out. And I wanted to share with you guys what I encountered, which was a bunch of surface rust, and what it took for me to get it uh, cleaned up, ground down, encapsulated, painted, primed. Uh, share with you all the tools I used, which was many, and kind of go step by step what I had to do. So what I have here is a lot of different products. Um, not so much in um, paint, but special rust encapsulator and um, metal prep. So I used um, different times when it was really bad exposed rust that I could rinse with water and clean up after. I used the POR 15 Metal Ready. Uh, leave it on for 15-20 minutes for metal and rust preparation. It acts as a primer, and uh, it kind of encapsulates it, and then it'll allow your top coat to adhere to it really well, and it just stops rust dead in its tracks. Um, I used the Eastwood brand internal frame coating. I used the Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, which I really love, and it's not that expensive, and it goes on smooth, and it basically has some of the same ingredients as the Eastwood, because I was reading to see. This is about 25 bucks a can. This is about 14. So what else? This is the POR 15 Metal Ready, same as the this stuff here. And then I also got the rust encapsulator that I brushed on in those hard to get spots. And then I also have the brushable seam sealer, which isn't really brushable. It's very tacky. It's more like caulking, and spreadable, more like with the putty knife. Um, I use sandpaper. These tools I made on my own. You can laugh now, but they worked really well getting up inside the quarter panels from the back side, all up in here that you couldn't reach but from the trunk, so you need an extensions to get on these flat walls. So I used steel wool that's pliable, sanding block that can get different angles. I used a straight sanding block that I made out of styrofoam and with some kind of hard styrofoam, so it's pliable, but yet it bends when you need it to get around these, rounded edges coming from the back side. This was really helpful, and it's got the extension on it, so you could reach way up in there with your arm. Different shapes of, you know, made with some wire, so it's bendable. I made all these. This one out of a piece of Romex, but it's flat, so you can get behind the back side and get, and bend and twist whatever you need. This is just one of those really rough sanding pads to get, the top layer down and then work your way to a milder grit. Scrapers for some of the seam sealer that's flaking off. Many different types of wire wheels and nylon wheels. This is a nylon wheel. I like it. It works really good for surface rust, but not real good on glue and like seam sealer and those types of things, because once it heats up, it kind of melts and pushes it around. Wire wheels. This tends to grind the glue off It does also heat up, takes a little elbow grease. Different air tools, different shapes, sizes of wire wheels. I used them all, every single one of them, to get in different. There's so many grooves and dips and nooks and crannies throughout the firewall. The kick panel sides, there's a lot of variations in the floors, just dips, and I used everything on this restoration. And using air tank, I had to get a bigger one in order to handle the CFM, the running air pressure. The one I first bought at Harbor Freight wasn't large enough, and it was bogging down. And this one still kind of bogs down, but it does last a lot longer than the other one I bought. And then in between air tools, if it did bog down, I would switch to cordless drills, and so I can keep moving forward. But first things first, under the dash, I started using wire wheels and grinding off all the rust. Sandpaper, I used all these. Definitely wear a mask because you're up under there and it's uncomfortable. And I've been working on this prep for 2 years, off and on, 3 years off and on. I couldn't even tell you how many total hours I have into this. Just, I had to finally replace the upper dash panel and the upper cowl. And wasn't too thrilled about it because I have to, remount the VIN, and then on the upper cowl where they have the stamped numbers here that match the VIN and are no longer stamped on there. So I still have it. I just don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe weld a plate on there, or ask some people what your thoughts are. What do you do? And it was a matching numbers car. Still is. But I had to replace a couple of things that are OER. So still passes that category, I guess. But yeah, I spent days, once this was, the upper cowl and the dash panel was off, getting down in the side cowls with wire wheels, wire brushes. I didn't have to remove those. They were fine. Car, most part, was pretty solid. I did not have to replace the lower, the firewall from here down on that seam. Very lucky on that. Very grateful. The rockers, perfect. Door hinges, perfect. Just got really lucky from what I'm seeing out there and the cars they're finding today. All of this is rusted out and completely gone. But this was mostly, honestly, all surface rust. There's still some original paint in the door casings. They're just still new. The floors, didn't have to replace any of the floors. Not any pinholes. There were some dents, where, had gone over a curb or something, but those pounded out. And not perfectly, but, they're fine. Not going to see them. Some of the glue, you see the rough stuff was the glue adhesive. This insulation, original, I heard was asbestos, so I just left it on there and POR'd right over the top of it. I don't want to mess with it, so I'm going to go over that again with Dynamat and insulation Dynamat, and seal it in forever. POR 15 on the floors, high gloss. Redid the floor plugs and seam sealed. And most of this original seam sealer is still, intact. I mean, I saw a few videos. If it's not flaking off, you could leave it and don't disturb it. I did not chemical dip the car. I couldn't afford it. So if anything, I may re-seam seal over the top of this seam sealer and then hit it again from the underneath on all seams that I can find. But back to under the dash, I'll have to get some light. Taken down to almost bare metal, and there were some still rust stains. You'll see on the where the carpet was glued down, there's also that orange colored paint that looks like rust, but it's not. But you can tell the difference. It'll brush off and it'll get on your rust. Will get on your finger if you rub it. But under the dash, it's 100%. Not a speck of rust under there. I have to say it was really hard getting into the side panels. Getting up in there, I had to use brushes, brushable Eastwood encapsulator. Just get up in there as far as best you can. Still got some touch up to do up on the top one there on the hinge. Just every bit you can get it in there, spray it, brush it. And then I also have the Eastwood brand that comes with a 2-foot hose that gets in all these hard to get areas. So I was able to see if I can find one for you. Here it is. It just goes on top of the can. It's got a 2-foot hose with a brass tip. It's got, I think, 4 holes that spray out all the way around it. 3 to 4. You can see on the very tip, there's 4 holes on the tip as well. Maybe 5. Spray out at kind of an angle. I guess there aren't any on the side. There's something there, just the markings. But yeah, so 5 sprays out, and you just put it down in the hole there. Just to give you an example, you just kind of go as far as you can get it. Press down on the nozzle. While you're pressing down, you're pulling the hose back, and it's spraying out a fog and a mist, a very fine, wet, watery rust encapsulator, which is the internal frame coating. You'll use that on your rockers. You'll use that anywhere you can't get, like down in here on the rear deck, rear window deck. This trim piece that shows here, that's all hollow and there's rust in there. If there's rust anywhere on the surface, it's everywhere. And like I said, I've spent about 3 years off and on getting it out. You can still see behind your door panels, it's everywhere. And you can take the time to do it or not. I elected to take the time to do it, and I don't want to have to redo my car. Hopefully I'm doing it right. I'm doing it the best that I know I can. Had to get down in the doors, sandpaper, wire wheels, whatever I can get down in there to get it off. And like I said, that's why it took so long. Basically, I've got the trunk left to do and finish back behind the seats and back over the back side of the wheel wells. But for the most part, I've got the lid surround done, the ceiling. The sails are done, except for some interior quarter panel stuff I still have to get from the trunk side. Got a few long hose sprays to do around the ceiling still, but the surface is completely sanded, grinded, wire wheeled, and rust encapsulated. So with that, you know, you're sanding, cleaning. After you sand it, you can clean it with glass cleaner. Cheap way, either this foam glass cleaner, or you can get the stuff, you know, just the blue Windex or the cheaper stuff. It's a nice way to clean your surfaces, doesn't leave a residue or a film before paint, and it's inexpensive rather than the aerosol chemicals. I do use both, just depending upon what I'm working on. That way, you know, you could save some money, um, and it's better than water, but it does take the oil off and fingerprints and things like that before paint. So you'll want to get some of that too, glass cleaner. POR 15, top coat, again for the floors. I still have the underside to do. It's mostly clean. I need to do another clean, rough clean. I might do some sandblasting under there with my high-tech Harbor Freight hopper and sandblaster. I like it. Connects to my air tank. Has a pretty good mist or you know, blast of air or sand. This is aluminum oxide, but I'm going to switch to a glass bead and maybe do some of these other parts on my own. I was thinking of subbing it out, but we'll see if I can maybe get some, at least some of the back sides of that. The cowl grill, the front end nose, trunk, the hood. You know, I can get the backside's got a ton of rest in it. So anyway, there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. Any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll get back to you. I'm sure I left something out. And then check out my videos, because I got a lot of cleaning videos before, afters, during, and just hoping to help someone. Subscribe if you want to. I only need a few more subscribers to be able to do live feeds. Just documenting my journey, and, you know, for family and myself, basically, for when I get older. Not in it to make money, just in it to share what I've learned, pass on what I've learned, and hopefully help someone else with their project. You know, Camaro family is a cool thing. My dad, he raced cars back in the 50s. They had a car club called the Short Blocks of Los Angeles, and he worked at SoCal Racing, and they were the pioneers building hot rods. Started in high school in auto shop, and then worked their way up and had you know, 30, 40 guys in a car club building dragsters and roadsters and hot rods, and raced them at Pomona and out at the Bonneville Salt Flats, and you know, so it's in my blood. So when I didn't learn from my dad, I just kind of picked up and it just kind of came to me. So I don't know if I'm blessed or just lucky, but I learned a lot, made a ton of mistakes, and you know, that's okay. If I do another one, if I have it in me, I don't think I will. But you never know. If I do another resto, um, I'll know what not to do. So there you go. Leave a comment and hopefully it helps.